Los Angeles, the year 2006. Citywide crime has increased 300%, and a gang called the Hell Riders control most of the city.
They're heading for the zone.
The Hell Zone, where laws don't exist and murder is the local currency.
Good day to kill a cop.
Now that wasn't very neighborly, was it?
Lab says it might be AIDS vaccine.
Well, if the Hellsiders are running this stuff,
let us go undercover.
Anyone can visit my club if they want to play.
A pair of tough cops on an undercover mission enter the Hell Zone, where a criminal mastermind has created a game, an arena of death ring fighters. Their job to expose an illegal AIDS vaccine racket.
You use a stick like you've used one before.
yeah, well, I practice a little.
But they discover that skill doesn't always determine the victor in the arena.
It's run by a computer.
It was Drexel.
Once you're out of there,
If we have a contact.
it's too dangerous.
Hey, that guy's a cop.
I have a message to get to your husband.
I'm going into the zone to get Drexel.
Too bad we can't do that in the real world.
LAPD.
Rock and Roll Division.
Firepower.
Welcome to They Call This a Movie, testing the strength of friendships one terrible movie at a time. Subscribe to the podcast on iTunes and podcast services by searching They Call This a Movie, and find us on Twitter and Instagram at TicTamPod. That's TCTAM Pod. Welcome back to They Call This a Movie. This is Anthony Delvecchio. With me, as always, is Dan Aquino. Say hello, Dan.
Hey, friends.
Yep. As you can tell, we will have no bit tonight. Sorry, everybody. We'll try again next week. But Mark is not here. He decided he had better things to do than to watch this week's movie and talk with his friends about it. So I understand priorities, where they lie. But anyway, this week is our last movie of the month, and usually we'd do some way of picking the movies, but we just didn't this month because we kind of didn't realize that this was going to be the last week of the month. I don't know why we didn't realize that, but we didn't. So it was also this week. It was also our good friend Dan's birthday. So I told Dan he could pick a movie for his birthday. So Dan, why don't you introduce the movie you picked for your birthday movie?
Yeah, thank you very much for it's the gift that keeps on giving. I appreciate it. So this was a movie that I had seen reviewed on another podcast. This was maybe a year or so ago, and I made a mental note like, this would be interesting for us because we've covered Hulk Hogan on this podcast I think a couple times, have we not, Ant?
Yeah, we did. He's shown up at least 3 times, I think.
I know we did No Holds Barred.
Yep.
And
Santa with Muscles.
And
Three Ninjas High Noon at Mega Mountain.
That's right. That was last year.
Yep.
And I thought, we covered him. Why not cover another quote unquote wrestling legend of that time? And the movie that I picked was the 1993 movie Firepower that stars kind of the Ultimate Warrior. I almost dead named him. We were talking about it before, but or just Warrior, right? Is that his name?
He legally changed his name to Warrior.
Okay. So it stars Warrior, kind of. And yeah, this movie, when I saw it covered on the podcast that I first saw it from, they didn't go fully into depth about it. They kind of just covered Warrior's portrayal and what he did in the movie, which is not a whole hell of a lot. And I was a little disappointed by that. I thought we were going to get a lot of Warrior.
Mm-hmm.
And he shows up in a few scenes, but He has one line of dialogue, which is probably pretty smart.
Yeah.
Because I've seen this man cut promos. They're not great. They're kind of tough to understand, to say the very least.
Yes.
But yeah, what else? We got Steve McQueen's kid in here, Chad McQueen.
Chad McQueen Queen showing up again.
Yeah, doing a dynamite job as always.
Every time I see Chad McQueen in a movie that we cover, I just think, why are we following this guy?
Thank you. So just like, I don't want to spoil too much before we get into it, but Chad McQueen and this his partner in this movie, Gary Daniels, his character is Nick Sledge. They become cage fighters, and Gary Daniels is jacked.
Yeah.
Chad McQueen is not.
No. Gary Daniels 100% looks the part
Yes.
of a cage fighter.
Yeah, and he Gary Daniels, he goes in no shirt, ponytail, kind of like oiled up. And Chad McQueen goes in fully clothed.
It's like that stint when The Rock was just wearing a tracksuit.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like total dad bod.
And hiding his pec implant scars.
I don't think Chad McQueen had to worry about that. It made me laugh when I realized, like, oh, wait a minute, we're following Chad McQueen in this movie.
Yeah, it's like Martial Law, where it's Cynthia Rothrock who we're just getting bits and pieces of because we're stuck with Chad McQueen.
It's the name power.
Yeah.
Right? It's got to be like, I'll do this movie, but I need to be the star because I'm a queen. I'm like Hollywood royalty.
Yeah. Was he his son or grandson?
Oh, I thought he was son. I could be wrong.
He's a son. Son of Steve McQueen. I think Steve McQueen probably in the early 90s was just busting down doors at studios, just like threatening to beat people up if he didn't put his son in a movie. He might have even been dead at the time.
Right. Like, so they're kind of just throwing Chad McQueen a bone. Like, listen, your dad was an all-time great.
Yeah.
We'll give you some.
He died in 1980. He was
Okay. I'm looking at, I feel bad for saying this, but I'm looking at Chad McQueen's IMDb profile pic. He kind of looks like Donnie Wahlberg on a bender. He looks rough.
His Wikipedia picture, he kind of looks like Mickey Rourke with the bleach blonde haircut.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
It's just yeah, the apple fell so far from the tree there.
Mm-hmm. Not great.
And, I picked this because basically the Ultimate Warrior was in it. I thought it'd be funny I thought he was going to be the main star of it, but he's kind of like a right-hand man in it. I don't know what he does, except yell.
Yeah, the first scene that you see him in it, he almost seems like he's like the gang boss, right?
Yes.
He's going to be the leader of this gang, the Hellsiders. And then he just takes a step back to the man upstairs, basically. The boring businessman is behind everything sort of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, this movie, it has two plots going. Kind of three plots, right? There's the AIDS cure.
So the MacGuffin of the movie is counterfeit AIDS vaccines that is causing more AIDS, I think.
Okay. I didn't get that, but you're probably right.
It's a line that is said in the opening of like a news report, the very opening of the film. But what I gathered from it is that these AIDS vaccines are either killing people outright or killing people by giving them AIDS. Like a really bad vaccine where it's giving them what it's supposed to be curing.
That's a kick in the nuts right there, man. Imagine, I'm getting wait, so if you're buying a cure for AIDS and it's giving you AIDS, wouldn't that mean you've already had AIDS? Or why are you buying the cure?
Well, it's who says that AIDS can't stack?
Wait a minute. Was it a buff?
Well, if it's a vaccine,
Right.
right?
Sure.
So vaccines are preventative, are they not? You take it
That's a
so you
good
don't
point.
get AIDS.
Right. That's okay. You're right. Because I thought this was the cure for AIDS.
No, it's
Not
they call it a vaccine.
okay. That makes way more sense because you can't get double AIDS. I mean, it's the future. Maybe you can. Who knows how
Right.
far it's
Yeah.
evolved. Oh man. So there's that plot and the cage fighting plot with the wife, right, Chad McQueen's wife plot.
Right. She's
So
just your classic nag.
oh, that's my favorite part of the movie, Anthony. The movie sets you up to hate her so that when they kill her, you don't mind.
Right.
It's so underhanded that I kind of respect it.
And that you don't feel bad when he is cozying up with the female lead.
Yes, like halfway through the movie,
Yeah.
and I wasn't sure what was going on there, but I picked up somewhat quickly. Oh man, he's flirting with the head boss's girl, but
Mhm.
he's married, so that means the wife isn't long for this world.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. You can kind of see the writing on the wall at that one.
Yep. And sure enough, oh man, the wife, she does a fantastic job of being a nag.
Yeah.
Everything, every line she delivers is just so over the top bitchy.
Yeah.
He's playing Super Nintendo with his kid. Like, what do you think you're doing? You coming home looking like that? And like, all right, we get it. You don't like him.
Can't do this anymore.
Yeah, it was again. I kind of respect it. Like, we're gonna make sure you hate this woman.
Yeah. She also became a statistic there in the first scene that we see her in, where he like grabs her arm. It's like,
Ooh, yeah.
40%.
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't know. So that all right, that scene is where he's explaining to her, Chad McQueen is explaining to his wife that he needs to go undercover, right?
Yeah.
And she's giving him. I think she was in the right for this, honestly, because again, as we said in the beginning, he's not cut out for cage fighting.
No.
So she's trying to save his life, and he's really giving her the business.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So in the movies, the way the movie is trying to make us hate her, it kind of does the opposite for me. It's like, all right, well, yeah, she's right.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Yeah. No, she again, she's got like Skylar syndrome, where you're made to hate her, but she is right on all accounts.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, but so what is your fandom with Ultimate Warrior? Were you a fan of his when you were a kid?
I was not. I didn't like the Ultimate Warrior.
Gotcha. I wasn't watching wrestling when he was around, so I kind of missed. I kind of missed him on both sides.
So, like, when you got in, was that during? Because I think I watched the New Generation, so that was kind of like Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels.
Yeah, I was watching right around there, like right before WrestleMania 9.
Okay,
I think, and then I think I tapped out like not long after that. Like I probably gave it like a 2 or 3 years where I was like into wrestling. Then I kind of moved on to other stuff.
Yeah, I became big into it during the Attitude Era. Like I really watched, DX, Stone Cold, The Rock. I think I tapped out when I got to high school, so maybe like 2001.
Mm-hmm.
So I know you've kind of picked up wrestling now.
Yeah.
I don't know how serious. We talk about it a little bit, and you're more knowledgeable now. But I kind of whatever I learn, it's from you and Mark. So
yeah, no, I probably have watched more of wrestling now than I've done in 20 years. My roommate and I in senior year or freshman year of college, we would watch Monday Night Raw.
Okay,
and that was like probably the last time.
All I know is I want Rhea Ripley to just destroy me. That's it. Rhea, if you're listening, please do me a favor.
Dan just wants you to beat the shit out of him.
I do. I really do. I someone's gonna listen to this like, holy shit, this guy has some deep-seated problems. But I think it's more of just a kayfabe thing. I'll say.
Sure.
Keep it kayfabe.
What more can we say about this movie? There's a lot of cage fights.
Mm-hmm.
they keep looking through that small ass window. Every time that shot of them watching the fights from that small like bathroom window, I just
Yeah.
like rolled my eyes every time. I was like, oh fuck. They didn't have another shot. It was just that one fucking shot.
Right. There wasn't like a balcony or something that they could be watching over.
Yeah.
Or why not just have them in the crowd watching?
I don't know.
One of my favorite parts of the movie is early on when Warrior is, or aka the swordsman, whose idea was it to give him a sword, by the way? Because he is terrible with a
He's
sword.
so uncomfortable with it.
Yeah, like he looks like every time he picks it up, it's the first time he's seen a sword.
Yeah. He's holding it so that the guy with the other sword can do everything for him.
Yeah. So
Right?
much like in WWE, he gets carried throughout these fights. But yeah, one of my favorite parts is when they capture the warrior, and 2 minutes later they break him out, and
Yep.
they shoot up the warrior and his goons, shoot up the police precinct. I don't know, kill 5, 6, 7 people, cops, and 2 scenes later, the precinct is back up and running as if nothing happened.
Sure.
They're like sitting calmly, like, all right, yeah, now we gotta send you guys undercover. Like, is no one going to acknowledge all the dead policemen and women that
Right,
happened
yeah.
like yesterday? Yeah, this movie rushes a lot. I think, like at the end, they kind of forgot. Oh, we have to wrap this movie up, and I don't know if anything gets resolved.
Yeah, I don't know. Not really. He just kind of, I guess it does in the way that like if the bad guy's dead, they're not going to distribute these counterfeit AIDS vaccines.
Right. I think that was what they decided upon.
Yeah.
Like,
Just as long as he's dead.
yeah. Like they're not really, they didn't find any of the drugs though.
No. I mean,
So,
it's
and
probably there in that laboratory.
they keep saying, "Oh, we're close, we're close." I never got the feeling that they were close to busting the case open.
They were not doing much police investigation.
They just started to like fighting more.
Yeah. Yeah, like
oh,
Sledge completely abandoned the idea that they were there to like infiltrate anything or get information. Sledge was just like, I've found my calling. Kind of
Yeah.
like it here.
He doesn't talk to one person.
Nope.
Sledge. Chad McQueen's character, Darren, he does all the footwork, and
Yeah.
it's very little.
It's he talks to 2 people. Talks to Viper and he talks to Lisa.
Oh, that's Art Camacho. Yeah, Viper.
Yeah.
And kind of, and when we say talk to them, he doesn't really press them for information,
No.
right? He just kind of like, hey man, like what are you in here for? Like, why are you fighting? And then Viper gives his side. That's kind of it.
Mm-hmm. It's like he's really bad. He's also very bad at like the undercover part of it, because all his conversations with these people are in the facility of the Death Ring.
Yeah,
Like he should know that this guy has everything, has cameras everywhere.
yeah.
Like they immediately find every time they have a conversation. Like Sledge mentions something, and then they immediately rig his next fight to kill him.
Yeah.
Like the words aren't even finished. He's not even finished telling him and like certain information. And it's just like, all right, you're on.
Yeah.
Now let's kill him.
And they change it to a lethal fight.
Yeah.
And the one time Chad McQueen talks to the boss's girl, the guy who runs the fight approaches him and says, "Hey, don't talk to people here. It's not good."
Mm-hmm.
Everyone knows what you're doing.
Yeah.
And he's so bad at bluffing. I just went out for a smoke. Okay, sure
Yeah.
you did.
It's like, don't be so curious. It's bad for your health.
Right. Which is the guy has a pretty good line when Chad McQueen says, "I went out for a smoke." He's like, that's not good for your health either.
Yeah.
All right, that's not bad. But like it just screams narc written all over it.
He's got cop all written all over him. It's to the point where it does come up because like his first fight. So the fights for whatever reason, start off hand to hand, and then like halfway through the fights, they get weapons.
Yep.
Which are supposed to be computer hands off the weapons, but it's really this boss. I forget his name.
Drexel.
Drexel's like the man upstairs, basically saying, "I'll give this person this weapon." Blah blah blah.
Right.
But his first weapon is a shield and a baton, and he handles that shield and baton like he's in riot gear. Like, man, you look like a fucking cop right now.
And they mention that, like, yeah, you look like you've used that baton before.
Yeah.
Like, oh, it just comes natural, I guess. Okay.
He says he's practiced with one.
Right. Right. Did you practice it at the at basic training?
At the academy?
At the academy. I thought it was funny that they gave him a shield. Like, this guy sucks so bad they had to give him a shield. Right? Because his partner, Sledge, he fights before him.
Yeah.
And they offer him a weapon. He doesn't even take the weapon.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just beating the shit out of these guys. I think he gets hit once.
Yeah. He's cleaning house.
Yeah, like, because he's a real cage fighter.
Mm-hmm.
So much so, he's featured twice on the box art. So I thought he was the main character.
Yeah.
He's doing the Jean-Claude Van Damme split.
He is. Yeah, that's funny. I didn't recognize that he's there twice.
Yeah. And he's far more charismatic.
Yeah.
Than Chad McQueen, who's just he's kind of like a goofball.
Yeah.
He's very not serious.
Yeah. He's closer to the two cops in last week's movie, Shadow of the Dragon, than he is to Gary Daniels.
I agree. Yeah, he's a buffoon. He really doesn't know how to do police work.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. What did you think of the fights themselves?
They kind of dragged for me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they were that particularly interesting. There's just a lot of them too, where it just became white noise at some point.
Yeah, I think there was about five or six fights, maybe.
Yeah.
I was not yelling at the TV, but I was complaining. The first fight we see is not involve Chad McQueen or Gary Daniels characters. It involves Viper and some other guy. Mm-hmm. And we see the fight in its entirety.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, why do we care so much about this right now?
Yeah, it was a lot.
Yeah, I don't know. And again, Warrior, he's in I think he's in 2 cage fights, and all he does is yell.
Yeah. And
do power moves, right? Just punching and headbutting. Not effective. His first fight in the ring, he fights like a 60-year-old man.
Yeah.
It was some like old karate dude.
Yeah.
He just manhandles him.
That wasn't T-Leg Bone, was it? No.
I don't remember who their names were. He kind of looked like. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say there's a fighter named T-Bone, and then I'm pretty sure there's a completely separate fighter named T-Leg Bone.
T-Leg. That's a great name. Well, it's better than Alley Cat.
Yeah.
I can't believe they used that.
Right? That was bad.
So the joke here is Gary Daniels and Chad McQueen are getting ready for their first fights, and the ring leader, or like the guy who runs the fights,
like the handler, he asks them, what are your stage names, essentially. So Nick Sledge says, call me Hammer. So like, oh, I get it, Sledgehammer. It's funny. And then they ask, what should Chad McQueen's name be? And Daniels calls him the Pussycat. Yeah.
And then the ring handler just goes, how about Alley Cat? That's even worse. There's nothing, tough about that.
Yeah.
And they stick with it for the whole movie.
It fits, though.
It
for
does.
Chad McQueen, it really does.
I laughed out loud. The first fight, again, Gary Daniels cleans house with this dude, just mops the floor with his competitor. And then Chad McQueen comes out and just gets his ass kicked. I'm like, wow, that's our hero.
Yep.
Just getting fucking manhandled in the ring.
Yeah.
But somehow he's able to beat the warrior at the end.
Yep.
It's totally believable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Overall, what did you think of this movie, Ant?
I thought it was okay. Not quite the Barbarian Brothers movie we've watched recently.
Mm-hmm.
Probably a little bit better than the Sword of or Way of the whatever the movie last week was.
Shadow of the Dragon.
Yeah, probably better than that. I think we've done a lot of action movies recently.
Yeah, I was gonna say at the beginning of 2024, it's very cop heavy,
Yeah,
right? Because the Barbarians, what was that called?
Double
Double
Trouble.
Trouble, right? One of them's a cop.
Yep.
And then we did Shadow of the Dragon with
the Trancers.
Trancers.
Trancers was a cop.
That's a cop movie. Wow, oh man, 2024 is year of the cop. That's not good.
Yes, so
we gotta abandon 2024.
Shut it down.
Shut it down. It's over before it began.
Yeah.
I agree. I think this movie was okay. It tried to do too much, and it realized it towards the end, where it kind of raced to the finish line.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh shit, we got to wrap this movie up. We'll just have a random fight, and they're done. That's it. The end. But yeah, I'm glad that we watched it, just because we can say the Ultimate Warrior might be a worse actor than Hulk Hogan.
It's possible, yeah.
And that's a high bar to clear.
Yeah.
Because as everyone knows, Hulk Hogan is just awful.
So, Firepower from 1993 is directed by Richard Pepin, who has directed Cyber Tracker, Hologram Man, which we've covered,
Ooh.
Silencers, Y2K, and Mindstorm. Stars Chad McQueen, Gary Daniels, George Murdoch, Joseph Ruskin, Alicia Das, Warrior, also known as Jim Hellwig, Pablo Mars, and Art Camacho. IMDb score of 5.2 and a Rotten Tomato score of 24% audience only. No budget or box office numbers. You want to get into the plot?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, Dan, what do you got?
Yeah, real quick, guys. I want to talk about two podcasts. Friends of the podcast, we've had both of these people. Well, I mean, Mark is part of the podcast, so I can't just say we've had them on. But first podcast I want to talk about is Top 10 with Tia. If you listened to episodes in the past, we've had Tia on quite a few times. She is awesome. Her and her co-host, Brittany, have a podcast where they run down top 10 lists of the week. So if you're interested in that, please go over to geekvibesnation.com, search the top 10 with Tia, and it'll pop right up. So please make sure to give them a follow. They're awesome. And also the Game Vault pod that, like I said before, has our good friend Mark Myers and our friends Tom and Jen, who run down their video games of the week, talking about what they're playing, what to look forward to, what's big in the world of video games. So, PC, console, all this stuff, developers, very informative stuff. And they also stream on Twitch at Game Vault Pod. So please go check them out there, and also give them follows on their socials at Game Vault Pod. And they are available on any podcast platform of your choice.
Okay, great. We're going to take a quick break, and you guys are going to listen to messages from friends of the podcast. So we will be right back.
Hey everyone, this is Steve.
And this is Adam.
And we're part of the Hop Nation USA podcast,
Pittsburgh's #3 craft beer podcast.
Join us every Friday for new beer reviews.
We'll talk about the news, history, and homebrewing.
Plus, we'll sit down with the best brewers and industry personalities that'll have us.
So whether you're a casual drinker, a hazy boy hophead,
or even if you're a whale hunting cellar hoarder,
just search Hop Nation USA on Apple, Spotify, or your favorite podcatcher and join the nation.
Oh hi, didn't see you there. It's me, George, from the best little horror house in Philly, the show where we talk about the best horror movie ever made, according to our guest at least. We've talked about groundbreaking classics like Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Alien, but we've also got a lot of great ones coming up, including some very fun guests like Len Kabaczynski of Swamp Zombies and Red Letter Media fame, Caroline Williams, the star of Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, and Chase Williamson from John Dies at the End. So make sure you're subscribed to the best little horror house in Philly, and I'll see you boils and ghouls over there.
And welcome back. Now it's time to get into plot for Firepower. We open on a futuristic yet retro diner, just like the opening of Trancers. as a news report talks about the construction of a new space station and an outbreak of AIDS that has been created by counterfeit AIDS vaccines. According to my notes, so it's an outbreak of AIDS that is also being created by the AIDS vaccines themselves.
Everything's looking good.
Yep.
The future's looking bright.
Yeah. Program then switches over to an opinion segment where an expert talks about a zone of the city of Los Angeles, which essentially the police have been defunded, as two cops watch on from their diner.
So I had written down here in this part, this is where it starts to lean into like a right winger's wet dream of a movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, Los Angeles is rife with crime. Gas is $30 a gallon. There's police brutality. Like, yeah, they would love this movie.
Yeah, it's a little fashy.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Fashy.
Yeah, I mean, the cops literally have like army weapons.
Yeah.
In this movie.
And the hell zone is where things have been decriminalized, and it's gone to shit because of it.
And so all the liberals are in there.
Mm-hmm. And the zone is known as the Hell Zone, hotbed of gang activity. Two cops roll out, answer a call of an armed robbery of a pharmacy. High-speed chase ensues as they catch up with the robbers as they head to the Hell Zone. And one of the suspects is identified as a man named Mendez, which has some sort of significance to our two cops. Pursuit chases the suspects right into a roadblock, and the suspect's car, as well as a police vehicle, hit it head-on, flipping and then crashing in a ball of fire. And there's then a firefight when the vehicle comes to a stop, and it comes to an end when Chad McQueen uses a smart bullet to hit one of the guys, and then McQueen's partner, Sledge, karate kicks the other suspect until they arrest him. They let out the remaining alive suspect and take him to the station for questioning. This is Mendez. They book him and hand over a vial of green liquid that Mendez stole from the pharmacy, but they said they don't know what it is. Mendez, quote-unquote, resists and gets beaten up for the trouble, and then he's thrown into a cell.
Police brutality.
Mm-hmm.
Right there.
Cops talk with their chief briefly about taking some PO time, and then another cop comes in and tells the chief that they're bringing in the swordsman. Chief is pissed because they need extra security for the swordsman, so they bring in the swordsman. It's none other than the Ultimate Warrior, a.k.a. James Hellwig, a.k.a. Warrior. And he immediately starts to toss cops around as they're trying to process him, but is then subdued when one of the cops hits him with a stun gun. And they put him in a cell next to Mendez. And then the precinct is immediately under fire by a bunch of gunmen looking to free Hellwig.
So I thought the movie was going to go kind of like a Assault on Precinct 13 route there.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of, Warriors detained, and the rest of the movie is kind of them trying to break out Warrior.
Mm-hmm.
And getting to know a little bit about Warrior and the other cops. But what winds up happening is all these cops get killed, and like I feel nothing for them.
Yeah,
because I don't know any of them.
Yeah, it's a weird. We don't need this scene at all.
No,
we don't need swordsman being locked up at all.
It would have made more sense to lock up Drexel, the guy at the top.
Sure.
And then have Warrior and his gang try to break him out.
Right.
If you're going to try to break someone out of prison, you're breaking out a guy who shows up in another 3 scenes and says he has one line of dialogue and it's in this scene.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a waste. Yeah, I agree. There's no point of this scene.
No. Especially for how quickly he's just broken out of prison.
Yeah, he's there for, like you said, all of 2 minutes, and then immediately the precinct is under attack.
Yeah. They shoot a bunch of cops and shoot off one of their hands in order to open the jail cell that has a handprint lock on it. The Warrior and his men escape in a vehicle that looks like the Wienermobile, and Chad McQueen leads the chase after them. Police chase with a helicopter, Sledge on his motorcycle, and McQueen in a police cruiser. The helicopter gets blown up, Sledge gets knocked off his bike, and Warrior and his men make it to the Hell Zone. But Sledge decides he's going into Hell Zone, so he and McQueen pack into their police minivan and head into the Hell Zone.
That thing was so pathetic. The way when it revved up, it sounded as if it was like a golf cart.
Yeah, classic Dodge Caravan.
Yeah. Oh man, imagine being chased by one of those things. Like, oh, this is pathetic.
Yeah. They find the vehicle stopped at some sort of club and get out, talking with the prostitute, try and figure out which way the swordsman went. They go into the club and look around. Meanwhile, the owner of the club watches on from the cameras of the club. And at this club, they run death fights. So Sledge and McQueen get stonewalled as they ask about where they could find the swordsman. Then McQueen gets shot in the bulletproof vest by a patron. So Sledge shoots that guy and his buddy dead. They get laughed at for asking about the swordsman, then start venturing deeper into Hellzone as they pass by prostitutes on their way to the Death Ring. They watch a fight between two guys named Viper and T-Bone. Viper and T-Bone fight for a while. Then some weapons get thrown into the mix as well. Then they leave as Viper wins the fight. Back at the precinct, they talk with the chief about the vial they found, and they said that they think it's AIDS vaccine, but the report can't figure it out for some reason. So McQueen, whose name is Darren, and Sledge convince the chief to let them go undercover in the zone to find out where they're bringing these vials.
Real quick,
Mhm.
do you, at least for myself, I thought that last scene was unnecessary with Sledge and Darren in the fighting pit.
Mm-hmm.
Because they get no information other than just saying, "Oh, okay, there's a fighting ring here." That's probably something that they would know about, I'd imagine. No,
Probably. Well, not necessarily, because the idea of the Hell Zone is that Hell Zone is basically left to its own devices.
okay,
Like cops don't venture into there, and really, this is just exposition for us. We're supposed to learn what the Death Ring is all about based on this scene.
okay, just to kind of get a feel for how they work it.
Yeah, it's pretty much just expositionary.
I was thinking that because they've kind of given themselves away because they're in now. They've kind of revealed themselves in the beginning.
So they have those blast shields on their helmets.
Oh, that's right. Like,
they have
they're Judge Dredd
visors.
helmets.
Yeah.
So they can't see who's who. But the one guy, the one gang member they capture, recognizes them. Right?
I think he sees Sledge with his helmet off.
Okay, when he's apprehended.
Yeah. I think so.
Gotcha. So what I thought was going to happen was like maybe they interrogate someone and find out about this pit, and then like, oh, we could go undercover because no one knows us.
Yeah.
But either way, all right. So that makes more sense.
Yeah, he mentions it when he sees his face come up on the computer.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, "Oh, that's the guy that arrested me."
Okay. So yeah, at least he's able to pinpoint him.
Yeah.
But I guess it wouldn't matter anyway.
Yeah.
Okay.
Darren goes home and starts hitting a punching bag and gets into a fight with his wife when she says he was supposed to be going on day shift and now he's going undercover. Darren's wife also almost becomes a statistic, especially when Darren says that he can't get off work for his son's social evaluation. No, they never explain what that is, but it becomes a thing. That? I don't know.
Is it like a placement test for in the future?
I guess, yeah.
All right. Well, it's weird. Darren and the wife have this argument, and he explains that this is kind of like a promotion. I thought that's what you want me to like be behind a desk, and he's not going to be behind a desk. So what is he talking about?
Yeah.
So he's just lying to her.
Pretty much.
Okay. Yeah. So again, justice for the wife.
Yeah, pretty much.
Do we even know what her name is?
No.
Right. They don't say her name, do they?
She's named in the credits, of this film, but
the movie doesn't want you getting too attached to her.
It's Sue, apparently.
Sue. Oh, okay. Kimberly Cockrell, Sue Braniff. Okay. But yeah, the movie's like, don't get too attached. She's not going to be around for much longer.
Yeah. It's like, don't worry about it.
Yeah, name's not important.
Yeah.
To be honest, I don't even remember the other woman that he's hitting on. Like what her name is.
Lisa.
Okay.
Yeah. And then his wife storms off. Back in the Hell Zone, the swordsman fights with some Asian monk-looking guy and makes quick work of him in the Death Ring, in typical Ultimate Warrior fashion. But then they bring out some swords, and the fighters sword fight for a bit, and the swordsman, despite looking extremely uncomfortable with a sword in his hand, kills his opponent.
I'll give Warrior credit here. He sells a headbutt.
Sure.
Right? He gives the old man this vicious headbutt, and then he kind of just like, oh wow, my head. He falls to his knee. Like that's the most selling he's ever done.
Yeah, in the ring, he would just shake the ropes.
Right. Yeah. Whenever he's kind of like he's doing his own Hulk up, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's not selling for professional wrestlers, but he's selling for a 60-year-old martial artist.
Yeah.
Jeez, what a prick.
Yeah. So the guys go undercover as contestants in the Death Ring, and the contestant handler shows them to a couple lockers and explain the rules to them, and they get blown off by the swordsman. So they watch another fight featuring Viper. Then it's Sledge's turn to fight in a non-lethal match under the name The Hammer, and he makes quick work of his opponent. Then Darren fights a guy named T-Legbone, and they fight for a bit, and Darren winds up getting a shield and a baton for his weapon, winds up using it like he's not trying to hide the fact that he's a cop, but he wins. After the guys have some drinks with Viper, and then Darren pisses off the girl that places bets named Lisa. After she walks away, Viper tells them that she's off limits because she belongs to Drexel, the owner. Darren then goes over to apologize to Lisa for getting on the wrong foot with her. Drexel comes over with a swordsman and barks at her to get back to work. When she leaves, Drexel tells Darren to keep his stick in the ring and stay away from the girls that work at the club. Darren goes home and plays Super Nintendo with his son, but his nag of a wife doesn't understand his important work, tells him she can't do this, and pulls his son away to do his homework.
I like how the video game console of the future is still Super Nintendo.
Had a long shelf life.
It sure did.
What
This is all we
know
have
what
in
years
the
it's
future.
supposed to be?
I don't think they say, right?
They mention in a car make of a 97.
Oh, it's in the year 2007.
Okay.
It's from what I'm reading on IMDb. So it lasted 20 years,
Nice.
pretty much. Oh no, 10 years. I mean, when did the Super Nintendo come out? Like 93,
I think it might have even been like 91.
91? Yeah, that's a long run for a console.
And if we got this wrong, then Mark, you should have been here.
Yeah. Where are we gonna get our video game info from?
Yeah.
Now we sound like fools, possibly.
I hope the Flyers lost.
Hope it was worth it, Mark.
Yeah. The next night, Darren sees Lisa again, and she has a black eye, so he tries to convince her to get out. She says that all she knows is guys like Drexel. He tells her that he doesn't want anything from her, but she should really think about leaving. Darren meets up with Sledge, and Sledge mentions that some guys have been talking about the swordsman and Drexel, and he thinks that Drexel's connected with the Hellsiders gang. The handler then comes over to Darren and tells him not to be so curious because it's unhealthy. Then Darren has another fight with the Stomper, and the Stomper gets his butt stomped.
Oh, I love it.
According to the announcer.
The announcer, he was kind of insufferable throughout the whole movie.
Yeah.
But this one line made me laugh.
And then Sledge fights the Maniac, and Sledge beats the Maniac. Back in the locker room, Viper tells Darren that he doesn't seem like the other fighters because he doesn't seem to care about the money. Smells like a cop. Is basically what he's fucking saying.
Yep.
So he starts telling him some info about the swordsman and Drexel and the vaccine, but then the handler comes in and tell him that he's being bumped up to a championship match, like immediately. At first, Viper's getting his ass kicked, but then he turns it around and starts winning. But when it comes to the weapon portion of the fight, Drexel fixes it so that Viper's weapon doesn't release. And while he tries to pull it off the wall, he gets a hatchet in the back by his opponent and dies.
Why don't they put Viper up against Warrior?
I guess they didn't need to.
Oh yeah, I guess. But I always thought he was kind of like the Goro in Mortal Kombat terms, right?
Yeah.
So he's the ultimate champion.
Mm-hmm.
But then
That's what it
they
seems
have
like,
Viper. Yeah, right. Then they just have Viper go up against some other guy.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess it's to show. So the outcome of that isn't because Viper was just bested, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's to show that, what's his name? I keep forgetting. Drexel has other tricks up his sleeve, right? He'll fix a fight if he wants to.
Yeah, he has the capability to determine the outcome.
Right. So it's not just like, oh, I just have this behemoth of a champion that is just gonna run roughshod over everybody, and if I just want you killed, right?
Sure. Yeah. That makes sense. Just his ultimate control of the game, and because what I thought would happen is Viper would go up against Warrior, and Viper has the upper hand, and then Drexel fixes it so that Warrior just winds up winning through dubious means.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think they don't like if we're keeping this in like wrestling sort of idea.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to show the Ultimate Warrior as weak until like he goes up against somebody like Sledge, right?
That's true, right? You got to book it right. You don't want to
exactly. You
don't want to get the other guy over.
Yeah, we're not trying to get Viper over particularly well here,
right? Yeah, and Warrior wouldn't have that anyway.
Viper's a mid-carder.
Yeah, Yeah, he's probably going up against like a Tatanka, right?
Yeah.
I think that's a fair one. Maybe early Shawn Michaels for the IC belt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's not going for the world heavyweight belt.
Ludwig Borga, maybe.
Ludwig Borga. Remember that guy? That's a deep pull. He was from Finland.
Yeah, Helsinki, Finland.
Yeah, he ended Tatanka's undefeated streak.
I know.
If anyone's gonna take out Viper, it's gonna be Ludwig Borga.
After the match in the bar, Darren tells Lisa what happened to Viper. She says that the same thing happened to her boyfriend, and Darren tells her they were both killed by Drexel. He also mentions that Viper mentioned something about the vaccine. Lisa gets nervous and leaves. Back at the precinct, the chief wants to put an end to this undercover job, but Darren convinces him to keep them on. Meanwhile, they start transporting Mendez to a higher security facility, but when they're transporting him, the transport comes under attack by the Hellsiders, and Mendez manages to escape. Looks through the police computer in the transport to find Darren's home address. Back in the Hell Zone, Lisa and Darren talk. She tells him that she knows he's a cop, but she wants to help him. So she tells him that Drexel manufactures the phony AIDS vaccine somewhere in a factory on the edge of the zone, but it's heavily guarded by Hellsiders. Meanwhile, Mendez shows up at Darren's house and kills his wife. Later, Mendez makes it back to the Hell Zone and talks to Drexel, and he sees Sledge's picture on the match card for the death ring. He immediately clocks him as one of the cops that arrested him. So at the last second, Drexel changes Sledge's fight to be a fight to the death with the swordsman. So they fight, and at first the swordsman takes the advantage, but then the tables turn and Sledge gets the upper hand. Once the weapons come out, swordsman gets his sword. The two of them just trade blows for a while, Sledge knocking the sword out of the swordsman's hand. Then he gets pushed into the electrified fence on the side, and the swordsman chops Sledge's head off. Darren then makes a break for it, stealing a gun and shooting a few guys on his way out, and he's helped by the fight handler. And Drexel is pissed that he got away, but Mendez shows him video of Lisa meeting with Darren. Back in the city, Darren finds out his wife has been murdered, so he tells the chief he's going back into the Hell Zone and take down Drexel in his factory. Chief lets him despite his protests. So Darren goes in, shoots a couple of Hellsiders from his bike. He infiltrates the factory and comes face to face with a video of Drexel and Mendez holding Lisa hostage. Then Mendez shows up behind him and shoots him off the catwalk, but then Mendez is shot and Darren reveals that he was wearing a Kevlar vest. Darren shoots some more Hellsiders, and the scientists cooking up the fake AIDS vaccine run. Darren makes it to the roof where Drexel has Lisa hostage. So Drexel tells him to drop the gun and then calls out the swordsman to fight Darren. They fight, there's some back and forth with the sword and then a pipe, but the swordsman gets the upper hand eventually. He goes for the kill shot with the sword, but Darren ducks underneath it, and the swordsman winds up electrocuting himself by hitting an electrical box. So the swordsman dies, and Drexel says that Darren loses anyway, but before Drexel can shoot Darren, Darren throws a sword at him, going right through his chest, and Drexel crashes through the skylight, landing in the laboratory, I guess destroying all the fake vaccines. That's your resolve.
Yep.
And then that's essentially the end. It ends on Lisa and Darren hugging and a freeze frame ending.
Very anticlimactic in a way.
Yep. Yeah.
Man, yeah, it again, this movie, I remember when Sledge gets his head chopped off.
Mm-hmm.
I paused the movie to go to the bathroom, and I saw that it was at an hour and 23 minutes in an hour and 35 minute movie.
Yeah.
So I was like, wait a minute, this movie has like 10 minutes left, if that, and we've accomplished nothing in this movie.
Yeah.
So it's got to wrap up soon. What are they going to do? And they just kind of like, oh yeah, all right, just we'll have him fight the swordsman real quick, kill Drexel real quick, and that's it. I guess mission accomplished.
Job done.
Job done. It almost had the feeling of Stone Cold, the movie Stone Cold, where Brian Bosworth's character pretty much fails in his mission.
Yeah,
but kills everybody.
Yeah, it just does a victory lap.
Right. Like, well, yeah, I didn't really accomplish my mission, but it's an impressive body count.
But everybody's dead.
And everybody's dead. And I was thinking when you were going over the finale there, another thing to add on to the right-wing checklist is a vaccine not working. It's like, oh, you see, vaccines are bad for you. They'll actually kill you.
Yeah.
Like, oh,
they'll
man,
give you what it'll give you what it's supposed to not give you.
The only thing this was missing was just like random white women shaking uncontrollably after taking the AIDS vaccine. Like, oh my god, I can't stop shaking. Just like, oh man, there's some like 55, 60-year-old white dude out there who's just like, you see, this is what they want. This is the America they want for you.
Yeah. It was fine. We've watched better versions of this movie.
Sure. We've also watched worse versions.
That's true too. Yeah.
Right. I think like Judge Dredd again was probably worse than this.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I agree. I think the movie, I don't think it really had a direction. I don't know what it wanted to do.
Yeah.
You probably could have kept it to just straight up like a drug bust kind of thing. You didn't have to introduce some made up vaccine. Right? You could just been like, hey, there's illegal drugs being sold out of the Hell Zone. We need you guys to go in there and go undercover. Or like we said earlier, just have it be they finally get this crime boss, Drexel, in police custody, and now the warrior is trying to break him out and they're besieging the precinct. Do something like that. I think that's a little bit more interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. But that is Firepower, and we are going to take a quick break, and we have third segment coming up, but you guys are going to listen to ads, so pay those bills, and we will be right back. And welcome back. Now it's time for a third segment. And this week, today actually, the Oscar nominations came out. So I'm just going to kind of go through them, see, give our quick answers of what we think is going to be picked or what we want to see win. I don't know. A little free form. We do actually have Mark's picks, but you know what? This seems pretty convenient that he decided to miss this entire episode, but now he wants his Oscar picks.
He wants all the glory with none of the work.
Yeah, he wants me to read his Oscar picks.
Oh, man, are you gonna let him walk all over you like that, Ant?
He's gotten a little bit too big in his britches recently, if you ask me.
Yeah, well, I don't know, Mark. It sounds like Ant's turning on you.
Yeah, ever since he came back from across the pond, as he would probably say. He's trying to big time us, I think.
Yeah, he's a world traveler now.
Yeah, right.
And he's definitely holding that above us.
He's an international man now.
He is. He definitely brings it up at just random times. Right, we'll be talking about like football. Oh, well, you mean American football?
Yeah, I didn't realize Messi was playing.
This isn't Chelsea United.
You guys got bangers and mash on the menu?
Yeah, when we went out to eat, right? He was asking about that. Like, oh, I guess I'll have this then. Just give me the regular fries.
Yep.
Asked us if we wanted to take the lift instead of the elevator. Just, oh man, this guy, I'll tell you.
Yeah, says cheers every time he sends us an email.
You're right. Oh,
all right.
We love you, Mark.
All right. Let's talk Oscars. So best picture of the year. American Fiction, Anatomy of Fall, Barbie, Killers of the Flower Moon, Maestro, Oppenheimer, Past Lives, Poor Things, Holdovers, Zone of Interest. We should really be 5 nominations again. This is terrible.
What is it? 10 now, right?
10. Awful.
Yeah. Well,
I've seen 3 of these.
We have The Dark Knight to thank for that.
Yep.
Right. Everyone got their panties in a bunch that The Dark Knight wasn't nominated.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I've seen. So I've seen Barbie, The Holdovers, Flower Moon, Oppenheimer. I'm rooting for The Holdovers, but I'm thinking Oppenheimer takes it.
Gotcha. I like The Holdovers. I saw that too.
Oh, nice. I'm glad. I remember we were kind of talking about it not too long ago.
Yeah. Yeah. I think Oppenheimer's probably gonna win. I guess I'm rooting for Barbie.
I wouldn't mind seeing Barbie win. I'm surprised it was even nominated, to be honest.
Yeah.
This isn't.
I don't think Barbie will win.
Yeah. It's not a movie that usually gets nominated by the Academy. Yeah. So it's a nice little treat.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, Mark picked Oppenheimer.
Yeah.
Pretty clever, Mark. Yeah. Haven't heard that one before. Only heard it twice in this entire podcast before you.
Even I don't know who he wants to like. If that's what he wants to win or he thinks will win, because like we were saying, you mentioned Barbie, I mentioned the holdovers. This is just kind of we're going with the thinking like an old white dude.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. All right. Best actor in a leading role. I guess it's Bradley Cooper, Coleman Domingo, Paul Giamatti, Cillian Murphy, and Jeffrey Wright. I guess I'm rooting for Paul Giamatti.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I thought he was great in the holdovers.
Yeah.
I don't think he's ever won an Oscar, has he?
I don't know. I know he's been nominated.
Was he nominated for Sideways?
He was nominated for Sideways. I think he might have been nominated for American Splendor as well.
Okay.
Well, it's only nominated for 2, so it was one or the other.
So not for Spider-Man 2?
Not for Spider-Man 2.
All right. A gross oversight on the Academy's part.
Yeah. It is not opening. So, I don't know the answer to that question.
Yeah, I've only seen Paul Giamatti and Cillian Murphy. So, I mean, I love Jeffrey Wright, so I'd be happy if he won. Bradley Cooper, I could do without, honestly.
Yeah.
He
was actually his nomination. His only other nomination was for Cinderella Man.
Oh, that was good. So that would have been supporting then, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good movie.
Yeah, liked it. Mark said Paul Giamatti. Wow, clever again. Mark, stop copying us, Christ.
Surprised he didn't go with his Philly boy Bradley.
Oh, yeah, right. That just screams give me an Oscar sort of thing.
Yeah, Maestro.
Mm.
I
should
think
be Maestro versus Tar. Remember, Kate Blanchett played a Maestro a couple of years ago.
That's
I
right.
watched that movie, Maestro versus Tar.
Maestro versus Tar.
Yeah.
What isn't the whole point of Tar was she was sleeping with an underage student or something like that?
I have no idea what Tar was about. It was like 2.5 hours long, and I was just like, I can't fucking do that.
Ant noped right out of that.
Yeah, absolutely not. All right, actress in a leading role: Annette Bening, Emma Stone, Sandra Hüller, Carey Mulligan, and Lily Gladstone. I've only seen Emma Stone.
Okay, I'm going Lily Gladstone on this. I think she was really good in Killers of the Flower Moon. I haven't seen anything else, to be honest. So I think by default I'm going Lily, but I know you and Mark, or you and some other people I know, were raving about Emma Stone in Poor Things. So I guess it could go either way.
Yeah,
but yeah, my pick is Lily.
I'm gonna say that might be the leading one. Emma Stone, that'll be her second Oscar. So
okay, yeah,
she's
won.
Really good at that.
Was that for Birdman?
I think it's for La La Land. No.
Oh, La La Land. I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yep, she's already an Oscar winner. And Mark said Emma Stone.
Okay. Damn, he's all up on you, man.
Mm-hmm. Jesus Christ, Mark. Best performance by an actor in a supporting role: Mark Ruffalo, Downey Jr., Sterling K. Brown, Robert De Niro, Ryan Gosling. Now, it would be kind of funny, but also like indicative if Barbie got shut out of every single nomination, didn't win a single one, but Ryan Gosling won for Barbie.
Yeah, that I think that's kind of the talk of the town right now.
Yeah. So that'd be kind of funny. Mark seems to think Robert Downey Jr. was worthy. I have not seen Oppenheimer again, but I think my heart's with Mark Ruffalo because he's really good in Poor Things.
So I've seen Killers, I've seen Oppenheimer, I've seen Barbie. I don't think they're gonna give Ryan the Oscar. I think they're gonna go with the old guard here. I think they're gonna give they're gonna go a Jamie Lee Curtis route and give it to Robert De Niro.
Interesting. De Niro's won before though.
He is. I'm just talking about how many more years does Robert De Niro have with us?
Sure.
And he turned in a good performance too. I'm not going to take it away from him, but I just think they'll go that route.
You think they gave it to Jamie Lee Curtis because she might die soon?
Well, yes and no. I think they gave it to her because she's never won and she's old.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
listen,
you know what? She's had to eat a lot of Activia. Who knows what's going on in her systems?
her gut health might be but listen, I like Jamie Lee Curtis. Obviously Scream Queen. She's royalty. But did she deserve the Oscar for that? Probably not. An argument could have been made for her everything everywhere all at once co-star.
Yeah.
And Angela Bassett for winning.
Mm-hmm.
So again, I hope they don't die. I don't want them to die. But I'm thinking like an old white guy here.
Gotcha.
So I'm thinking they'll go Robert De Niro.
Okay. Best performance actress in a supporting role. We got American Ferrera, Danielle Brooks, Jodie Foster, Divine Joy Randolph, and Emily Blunt. I think the consensus is that Divine Joy Randolph is probably the front runner for this.
She won the Golden Globe, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So I would imagine that she's also, and again, phenomenal in it.
Yeah, she was great.
I was really like I felt heartbroken for her character because her son. Spoiler alert! I apologize, but so her character, her son is killed in Vietnam, and she's kind of this is all the school is all she has left of him in a way. So yeah, it's a heartbreaking performance, but man, it's awesome. So I'm gonna go with Divine Joy Randolph as well.
Okay. Mark says America Ferrera.
Mark, you're just throwing away these picks, dude. What are we doing here?
What an idiot.
Oh.
Best director, Christopher Nolan, Justine Triet, Yorgos Lanthimos, Jonathan Glazer, Martin Scorsese. I think, does Nolan get it for Oppenheimer? I feel like he probably does.
Yeah, I think this is his year. Yeah. Right, because he's never won an Oscar. Oppenheimer, I think, is going to have a very strong showing this year.
Yeah.
And I think this is being part of it.
Nominated for 8 Oscars already. That Christopher Nolan in this page. These pages aren't opening when I'm trying to see for what. But Mark says Yorgos Lanthimos. I like that pick, but
I like that too. That's a good pick.
Yeah, I think he's definitely got an interesting style. But I think how many times could Christopher Nolan be nominated without winning?
Right. That's the thing. Because I agree. I like Lanthimos, his style, like you said. He has very unique movies. Killing of the Sacred Deer, The Lobster. Haven't seen Poor Things, but I know you guys love it.
Yeah.
But I think they go Nolan with this one.
Best original screenplay, Anatomy of a Fall, May, December, The Holdovers, Maestro, and Past Lives. Mark has Maestro for original screenplay. Interesting.
Okay. I'm going Holdovers.
I like that pick. I like The Holdovers a lot. I think it's a type of movie that they give screenplay to.
Yeah, I agree. It's tight. The screenplay is very tight. It's a very sharp written movie, I think. And it's every time you think you've kind of come to the end of a character's backstory, there's a little more to discover. And the pace is perfect. I love this movie.
Curious. So I'm just looking at adapted screenplay, and I'm not sure what Poor Things is adapted from.
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah, I don't know.
It doesn't mention anything. It doesn't mention any of the writers based on something. So I'm curious of what that is. But we have American Fiction, Oppenheimer, Zone of Interest, Barbie, and Poor Things. I think they might throw Barbie this bone.
I don't know. I don't think so. I think Barbie probably takes costume or stage design.
A man also did help write this though.
Noah Baumbach.
Yeah,
that's true. All right, we'll give it to them. No, I don't.
Do you think Oppenheimer's taking this too?
I'm hoping for American Fiction. My heart is telling me Oppenheimer, though.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm hoping for Barbie. I guess maybe that's me, but I feel like they kind of give these fan favorite sort of movies, screenplays, but we'll see.
Yeah, if they threw it to Barbie, I would not be disappointed at all.
Yeah, I think we could skip some of these: cinematography, achievement of film editing, production design, Costume design. Costume design is probably going to go to Barbie. I think it's hands down.
Me too. I think that's the obvious choice.
Yeah. Sound, makeup, hairstyling, music written for motion picture, original score. I believe John Williams gets in here for Indiana Jones Dial of Destiny.
Oh, that was terrible. When I saw that, I'm like, come on, man, get that out of here. 57 Oscar nominations for John Williams.
Original song. We think. Do you think the Academy's going to make the same mistake the Golden Globes made?
So what happened there? They gave it to I'm Just Ken.
They gave it to I'm Just Ken.
No, I don't think they do that. I think they give it to Billie Eilish.
Yeah, Mark agrees.
Yeah, that would be. Oh, can you imagine I'm Just Ken and Ryan Gosling winning for Best Supporting Actor?
Yeah.
That would, I mean, at that point, you're just basically, why not just have Greta Gerwig up there and just punch her in the face?
She wins screenplay, but they'll only let Noah Baumbach come on. When she was in the bathroom at the time.
Not so fast, Greta. That'd be, I wouldn't put it past the Academy. That'd be totally on brand.
And the last one Mark has written down is animated film.
That's got to go, and Spider-Verse.
Yeah, I think the only other thing that has a shot is The Boy and the Heron, Hayao Miyazaki.
Yeah, maybe because it's his last movie, right?
I don't really know enough about Hayao Miyazaki to know if is that what he said.
I thought I heard that.
Gotcha.
Maybe like a friend of mine told me, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, I don't know. I just don't know.
I'm kind of surprised. I'm not saying it would win, but I'm surprised the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie wasn't nominated.
Yeah, I don't know these. I've seen Elemental. Elemental was cute.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of forgettable.
Yeah, not much talked about that movie.
Yeah, but yeah. Honorary awards: Angela Bassett, Mel Brooks, and Carol Littleton.
That's cool, I guess.
Good for Mel Brooks.
Yeah,
and Angela Bassett and Carol Littleton. I have no idea who you are, but good for you too.
Yeah, well deserved, I'm sure.
Editor, known for E.T., The Extraterrestrial, Manchurian Candidate, and Dreamcatcher.
No, well, two of those movies were good.
Yeah, it was diminishing returns, but someone's got to edit those movies.
That's true. Yeah. Listen, you get E.T. under your belt. I think that carries you for a little while.
I feel like no one ever said the editing of Dreamcatcher sucked.
That's true. Yeah, that's a good point. They escaped unscathed there, I'm sure.
Yeah. The Curious Case of the Campus Corpse she edited early in her career. That sounds fun.
Yeah, we could cover that.
Yeah. All right. Those are the Oscar picks. Hopefully we're right. Hopefully Mark's wrong.
I've already forgotten what I've picked, to be honest.
Yeah. It doesn't matter. I'm not even going to watch this. I haven't watched the Oscars in probably close to a decade, if not more.
The only thing I'm truly rooting for is Godzilla -1 to win visual effects. That's all I literally care about.
I'm kind of rooting against Oppenheimer.
Because it's the fan favorite?
It's just the Nolan fans, we talked about this when we were talking about like the top 250 movies, are kind of insufferable.
Yeah, because they're like snobbish, basically.
It's not even snobbish. It's just like everything he makes is a masterpiece. And we talked about this with Interstellar.
Yeah.
It's like, it was fine.
Yeah.
It wasn't. And like, I'm not saying he's not a good director. He's a very good director. And I like most of his movies. But, like,
so
pump the brakes. Pump the fucking brakes.
So you don't want it to win because it would validate them in a way.
Yeah. Okay. I think this is like, I'm not saying he's my Zack Snyder. but like his fans are my Snyder fans.
Sure. I completely understand that.
And I think it's really just comes down to the fact that everyone sucks the dick of Interstellar, and I don't get it.
Listen, I'm right there with you. I will die on that hill. That Interstellar is not the movie everyone makes it out to be.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like him as a director.
Yeah. I love most of his movies.
Yeah. That's why I wouldn't be too upset with him winning. As a comic book fan, I don't want Martin Scorsese to win.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just kidding. If he were to win, great. Obviously, he's a legend. But I'll be honest. I don't even think Killers of the Flower Moon is that good of a movie. I thought it was fine.
I have failed. I am a very big. I love Scorsese. I have not seen his last 3 movies.
Well, The Irishman is to me that might be one of his worst movies that I've seen.
Okay.
I did not like The Irishman. I think that was kind of like a passion project that he needed to be reined in a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But Killers of the Flower Moon it's a good movie, but it's not his best.
Right. But like Killers of the Flower Moon, Irishman, Silence, I haven't seen.
Haven't seen Silence either.
Last movie I saw of his was Wolf of Wall Street.
I liked Wolf of Wall Street. I thought that was good. It's not great, but
I think that's another movie where probably the same people that sucked the dick of Interstellar sucked the dick of the Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I agree with Martin Scorsese. Everyone coming out of the woodwork like, oh, Killers of the Flower Moon is like one of the best movies he's ever made. I'm like, really?
Yeah.
I don't think
sucking
so.
the dick of Shutter Island. Shutter Island is underrated.
I like that movie. It took me a while to see it, but yeah, that doesn't get a lot of praise.
Yeah, and Hugo too. Hugo was cute. Hugo's
Never
fun.
seen Hugo. Maybe I should get on that train.
Yeah, feels like Scorsese doing a Spielberg. That's really what it feels like.
Interesting. So now that's kind of really piqued my interest.
Yeah,
because that's a totally different feel for Scorsese.
Yeah, but
I like it.
All right, so those are our Oscar picks, predictions, what have yous. We'll be back next week as we head into Gerarduary, and Gerarduary will be celebrated last week of the month. That will be Dan's pick, and he's got a good one lined up for us.
I'm excited, man. Listen, it's the most wonderful time of the year.
So yeah, that's it. Check us out on our socials, TickTamPod on X, Threads, Instagram. They Call This a Movie on TikTok. If you want to hit us up at Gmail, we're on TickTamPod@gmail.com. Send us your suggestions, send us some movie reviews, what have you. Just say hello. 5 seconds, give us a 5-star review on your podcatcher of choice. That would help us out a great deal. And check us out on our YouTube channel, which we do have a video I do have to put up. And that's going to wrap us up. The director of Firepower is Richard Pepin. So for Dan Aquino and Mark Myers, is Anthony DeVecchio telling Richard Pepin, well, you certainly made a movie, didn't you? Thanks for listening to They Call This a Movie. Subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts, and be sure to check us out on Twitter and Instagram at TickTamPod. That's TCTAM Pod. You can also check us out on TikTok at They Call This a Movie.